So David, give me some predictions looking forward. Where do you think the media landscape will be 3 to 5 years from now?
Yeah, so we have to look at this in a couple of different levels in terms of the media landscape. I do believe that there will be media companies that need to address the fact that they have a lot of properties that they're not selling in an integrated way, and so they will push that into the marketplace as opposed to being led into the marketplace. And they will start looking at their properties not as digital versus traditional, but as delivering audiences. So being in a company that believes in that, I've always believed that audience-based advertising is the right way to go. I think that the big media companies that are consolidating their properties not just to grow bigger, but to be able to then dice up the inventory that they have in a different way. So I think you'll see some very large companies start like Turner and NBC that have already started doing that, use whatever abilities they have to be able to start selling audiences, because ultimately the audience is doing things that are not predictable on a content level, but they're predictable on a behavioral level. So that's prediction number one. Prediction number two is that the agencies are going to apply programmatic thinking to TV. I don't think they have a choice. I think they're going to have to work closely with their media owner partners to figure out how to make the inventory conversation change, which is going to have some severe impact on the upfronts for the cable side. The broadcast side is probably safe for now, because it's such a consolidated audience, but I think that's going to be a big issue. I think we will definitely see multiple TV measures competing against each other or complementing each other in how people make their buying decisions. Nielsen still is the lion's share of the market. Rentrak has come on strong, but I think there's going to be other ways in which people measure media to be able to make those better decisions. And if I were to make one sort of important major prediction, it's that one of the top 3 marketers, I don't know who it'll be yet, but one of the top 3 TV advertisers will go programmatic on the way they buy TV. It won't be easy and it won't be perfect, but they will insist on being able to buy inventory on a real-time basis, and that'll force the change on the media owners.
I think one of the challenges with TV going programmatic is the lack of ability to really package efficiently and make the most from your hit series. So how do you think that's going to play out?
Yeah, I think the big issue for TV is that packaging has always been a content-driven thing, not an audience-driven thing. So audience in a broad context is people are watching that show, but in the way I describe audience, it's the audience that may be watching the number 1 hit-rated primetime show, but they're also watching some obscure show on a third network. But the share of voice is higher because there's more attention to that particular program, because that audience is actively engaged as opposed to the popular crowd. So I think the packaging issue is going to get resolved by, sometimes they'll sell content, and content is still hugely valuable, and entertainment is a valuable thing. But the ability to target that audience and be able to present ads to them that are relevant to what they're watching as well as who they are is going to be an important shift in the industry. As the path to addressable starts to roll out, people will start to do much more of that, but it's much harder for the advertisers to get their head around that. There's a lot more expense involved in doing addressable TV today. But I think the major shift will be people realizing that there is value to an audience, both from a pricing standpoint and a packaging standpoint, that is, in most cases, complementary to, but is different than buying a piece of content.
But then doesn't that put a certain amount of pressure with very popular shows? Then the extent of popularity is devalued if it's in programmatic, if I understand you.
I think there's always going to be valuable premium content. The ratings have gone down to the point where it's really hard to grow your revenue as a media owner when you watch the ratings go down, because you're being paid based on the ratings. So that if you're not getting as many impressions for a quote-unquote popular show because those ratings are so much lower today, you need to find ways to deliver that audience in ways that are legitimately delivered, not just rotators across the system, so that advertising can be satisfied with what they've bought. So I think that's where the issue of popularity is one that, yes, the show may be popular, but the definition of popularity has declined quite a bit in the last couple of years. Tentpole events like the Oscars or the Super Bowl are always going to be expensive. But I think you'll see shows like Modern Family even that only got a below a 4 rating for their premiere this year, and that was the #1 primetime launch. That means that the audience has gone elsewhere, and finding those audiences so that companies that still need to grow their product sales they still need to find that audience, and if TV is the right medium to do that, they need to figure out where to go. I think an interesting issue for the TV industry is that as time and attention is being spent on non-ad supported TV, the value of the audience that is watching ad-supported TV is actually going to go up, because you get smaller audiences, but the fact that you've got them on TV means that content must have been really good, because otherwise people are going to go watch on demand on Netflix or on Amazon or iTunes and not necessarily see ads that are shown on TV.
In the cross-platform aspect of television with other platforms, where do you think it's going to be in a couple of years? Do you see a standard or one provider becoming the main source?
Yeah, I think so. For cross-platform, there's delivery and there's measurement. I think those are two of the big issues around this. So from a delivery standpoint, people should be able to synchronize the ads or determine from a scientific basis where the right placement of the ads are, from view it on TV, view it on your tablet, view it on your mobile device, view it on a browser. The science should be there in the next couple of years to understand that. The delivery mechanisms are already in place. They just need to be synchronized, and people have to come up with campaigns that take advantage of those platforms. But cross-platform is a challenge because you want to engage people across those different platforms without it being creepy that you're seeing them in all the different places. So while the creepiness factor used to be retargeting, I think the creepiness factor of following somebody around on all their devices is definitely a challenge. And so marketers need to finesse not just the measurement, but also the strategy behind what they do across platforms.
That leads us to a question on mobile, where I think maybe the creepiness factor is more of a generational thing, in my opinion. But where do you see mobile playing out in terms of, it's an individual, they belong to that particular piece of device. How do you think that'll play out in cross-platform and in the television measurement business?
Yeah, I think the issue with mobile is that it is becoming the screen of choice by younger consumers. What they're watching may or may not be linear TV, because there's TV everywhere options, as well as Netflix and the other over-the-top options. I think the issue for mobile is, how do you harness the fact that you got that relationship with somebody in a way that they've opted into, so that you can deliver them relevant advertising? It's the best intersection of sight, sound, and emotion, which TV is great for, and digital marketing, which is great at targeting. But there's an order of magnitude more data and more privacy issues related to mobile. That both of those sides need to be figured out in order to determine how do you place the exact right ad in front of the right person in a cost-efficient way, and have them be excited about seeing that. We know that people blank out on ads across all media. The question is, how do you make that useful for people who are watching in a mobile environment as opposed to just a distraction?
In terms of predictions, where do you think the future is with simulmedia?
So simulmedia lives in an interesting intersection with our data of understanding that the way in which we deliver our value is through TV media. That the platform, that one of the features of the platform is that it's programmatic. Programmatic is a way of delivering things and a way of doing the analysis, but that fundamentally we are delivering audience-based application of data to delivering the most ROI positive TV media, and ultimately our goal is to deliver those business outcomes. And as we integrate with third-party and first-party data sources, for us, the important factor about that is that we're delivering an impression, and we're understanding that impact in a way that the marketer can actually run their business. And the way to think about that is that if a company is spending, and there are a few in this category that spend $2 billion on TV and don't know where that money is going, and digital is creeping up because it can prove its value, our mission on that front is to show that there's business value behind TV, and specifically behind buying it on an audience basis.